Daniel Ament, an all-around athlete, an academic scholar, a completely well-respected student in his school and civilian of his community. This is his experience with vaping, and a warning to others.
As a junior at Grosse Pointe North High School, Daniel Ament excelled in academics and athletics. Daniel was well-liked and had many friends throughout his active life of competitive sailing, swimming, and running. When he wasn't practicing, you could find him with his friends and family on or somewhere near the water. He also had a passion for urban exploration and adventures with his friends. Daniel's ultimate goal was to attend the U.S. Naval Academy, located in Annapolis, Maryland, and then pursue his career in the military as a Navy SEAL.
All that changed on September 5th, 2019, when Daniel became very ill as a result of a severe illness due to vaping. He was 16 years old. After spending 29 days on life support, Daniel faced imminent death prior to receiving the gift of life with the first double lung transplant in the world from vaping-related illnesses on October 15th, 2019.
Our GMA cover story now. A teenager who underwent a double lung transplant after vaping is now telling his story as a warning to others. Paula Farah sat down with him, and this is quite a story. Good morning, Paula.
Quite a story he has. Good morning, Robin. Good morning, everyone. Daniel Ament was a healthy high school student who loved to sail, swim, and run. Then he started vaping. His doctors say his lungs were destroyed beyond repair.
While Daniel is doing well, full recovery from a lung transplant can take a very long time. Today, Daniel is committed to sharing his story publicly and launching a nonprofit organization that will encourage young people to live healthier and happier lifestyle and improve overall mental wellness with training for counselors, coaches, and parents to provide alternatives to coping with the pressures of being a teenager void of substances.
Daniel plans to graduate high school in the spring of 2021 and attend college. Daniel is one of 9 siblings, including a twin brother, younger brother, and a sister residing in Grosse Pointe Woods, Michigan.
My sophomore year, I knew about it since 8th grade, and I stayed away from it on purpose because I knew I played sports. But then sophomore year, what kind of changed was I had a knee injury, so I couldn't do my sport, which was cross country. And so that's when I wasn't doing a sport in the fall. So instead, on the weekends, instead of going to races, I would go to parties. And then that's kind of how I got into vaping casually.
Vaping companies target teens with flavors. What would you say to vaping companies?
So the thing about the flavors is, that's how you get the kids into it, because cigarettes, they keep you away because you see someone smoking a cigarette, you smell the cigarette on them, you don't like it. So innately, people don't want to smoke cigarettes. But vaping seems so safe, I would say, because of the flavors. It seems healthy because fruity flavors, fruit correlates with health. So I'd say that's kind of a theme that a lot of people kind of get when they're getting into it. And that's kind of the targeting part that I see with them. Now, after all the flavors have been taken away, a lot of kids, once they get into it and they get addicted, the flavors do not matter at all. They'll be smoking any nicotine. It's all the nicotine. Once they get into it and their first, if they've done it for a week or something and they have that nicotine, it's so hard to get off of it after that. And still so many of my friends are they're starting to feel effects just because they're vaping so much and they can't get off of it just because of the withdrawals. So the companies, they knew what they were doing. It's all for the money. That's kind of what I would say to them.
Before you went to the hospital, did you notice any symptoms that oh, this might be because of that?
The first symptoms I got ever from vaping, I didn't get any symptoms until the first day of my junior year, which was, I think, the next day I went to the emergency room. I was working the night before, and I started to get back pain and just general fatigue. And I was like, this is not normal, but I thought it was just because I was on a really, really bad sleep schedule that week. So I thought it was just because of that. But the next day I woke up, I had a fever. I didn't know it in the morning. I felt horrible, but I just didn't take my temperature. And I went to school anyway because it was like the second or first day, and I didn't want to miss the orientation of all my classes. I just didn't want to deal with that my first day of junior year because I was going to focus really hard and plan on keeping my grades really good. So I went anyway, and I had the fever and I had a lot of fatigue as well. Shortness of breath started when I got home, and the next day I think I went to my primary care physician in the morning and then went home, and then the shortness of breath got really bad and I ended up going to the ER that night. After like a few hours in the ER, the last thing I remember is being on the bed and the doctor telling me that the x-ray had nothing in it that would say anything's wrong with me. And then I woke up from the coma 55 days later after my surgery.
So you were in a coma for 55 whole days?
I was in a coma for 2 weeks, and the other memories, they're just gone. My friends will tell me stuff that I don't remember. I'll see videos that I don't remember. The doctor said I was like, that I could get it back, but it like never came back.
So is it almost like a case of amnesia, or just the fact that your body was so was just on so many different things in the hospital that you just weren't functioning good enough?
I think it was like the drug, because I was in a medically induced coma. So that's like, they're literally giving you so much stuff to fall asleep and like stay there so your body can recover. And I think it was those drugs that affected my memory and just made me lose all my memory from the prior like 3 weeks that I was conscious.
Why didn't you tell your parents about vaping sooner rather than when you were at the hospital?
So, I mean, I hid it obviously because that my mom would be mad if she found out that I vaped. My brother vaped and she knew about that, and he would always be getting in trouble. And also I owned my own Juul for about 2 weeks, but other than that, I did not own my own vape. I would only be using my friend's stuff, like when I would see them. So I thought it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't addicted in my mind, but I definitely was, because even after the hospital, I had cravings for it, even like after my transplant. And yeah, so I just didn't tell them because I didn't think anything bad was going to come from it. I didn't really know there was a possibility of getting sick from it at all. And even like what happened to me, like never would I have ever thought anything this serious could happen. And then I did tell right when I had symptoms, I told my mom like instantly. I was like, because I just wanted them to know everything so that they could help me the best they could. 5 minutes in the ER, like right when the doctor came in, I told them I drank, I vaped, and anything else I'd ever done, so that they would have all the information they need. So I was very scared, so I thought I needed to tell them everything after I had any sort of symptoms.
You have a brother. He's your twin brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said he vapes as well. How did you guys ever figure out why it affected you so much differently than it had himself?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Like, we honestly, like, because everything I used was also used by other people in the period of like what I would have gotten sick from. Like, I never had, even with when I had my own, other people were hitting that. They were mostly what we used was the official Juul pods. There was suspicions that it was a specific cartridge, and they sent that to the CDC, and they never got anything from it. And they like investigate, for some reason all the blame got put on this cartridge, but the cartridge that it was, because they thought it was a black market cartridge, other people were hitting it, like at least 3 other people, and I did not hit it as much as them, and I was the one that got sick. So in my mind, it's not a specific cartridge, it's probably a variation of things that I use that caused it. But yeah, we still don't know what caused it. It was some vaping device, but yeah, there's no way I think I'll ever know, because the CDC, the cartridge that got sent over, never had anything come from it. So yeah, I don't really know, and I don't think I'll ever know. So a lot of people like instantly just like stopped because they were just like scared. But then like the nicotine like was so addictive that, because I know that vaping like just basically almost killed me. Like I was a day away, like I was really close to death. Like before, if I didn't get that transplant then, they said I was like really sick and I probably wouldn't have lasted much longer. And yeah, so like some people like just like got so scared that they just completely stopped. Some people switched to different methods of getting nicotine. But some people did actually just completely stop. Like that was what they needed to get them to stop. But it's really all like basis on how like that person. And then a lot of people made excuses to like kind of distance themselves from the situation and make it seem like to themselves that it wouldn't happen to them because, oh, it was something random and crazy. Like, but it was happening to other people in the United States, and I still think it was most likely like the official stuff, and that there just wasn't good enough quality control among the products.
I was wondering if there are any activities you feel like you're missing out due to this experience.
Yeah, that's a big thing right now for me. I like right now I've been quarantining myself since I think mid-September. I've seen my friends like twice because I've just been super scared to get COVID, and like a lot of them don't have to take the same precautions. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot. Like people are going back to school. I missed my entire junior year. I missed my entire senior year. Like my senior year is all online. I'm finishing it up right now. I see my friends all the time hanging out like on social media, and I won't be able to go see them. And even when I can, I'm definitely stressing like the whole time. I really did want to travel too. I had the opportunity to go on a sailing trip, and I knew these 2 girls that are actually on a trip right now. They have a bigger boat and they're sailing around in the Bahamas areas, and I was supposed to meet them and sail with them for a few weeks, but that hasn't happened because of COVID. But yeah, I'm definitely missing out on a lot.
So earlier you talked about how your friends were super addicted. How were you able to come over your nicotine addiction?
I think I probably didn't have a lot of issue with it because I would go days, weeks. I would go like a week without vaping and I'd be fine. So I had really good control over myself in general, because I didn't want to be, in my mind constantly I'd be telling myself, don't get addicted, so that you are spending money on it, like things like that. I was a little worried about like my running, like if I was vaping too much that I might impact my running, but I never got any symptoms, and I thought if I vaped less than everyone else then I probably wouldn't get any issues. So I mean, it really did surprise me when I woke up and they were like, you had a lung transplant. It was from vaping. I would say an issue was when I actually started like going out places again, and I would see people vaping in public. Definitely like being around people vaping, which I mean, it's kind of inevitable because a lot of teenagers vape. Before COVID happened, when I'd go to like hang out with people, I would still see people vaping like all over. And that was probably more of an issue, like just seeing them and being back around the same type of lifestyle that I was living before. And like, I don't know, it was more of an issue of seeing other people, and it was hard mentally. If I could go back in time, I would, completely stay away from vaping, make sure that my health is a priority, because that is something that you don't realize how good it is until you lose it. Health is the most important thing that you can care about. Like, it's not money, it's not anything else, it's completely health. Like, your body is everything, because the experiences you can have, like, everything is based off if you're healthy. Like, I would encourage everyone to do a sport, like something to keep them active. Like, that's what I prided myself on, being very healthy, and like I was doing such fun stuff like sailing, and I'd run around like for like 11 hours during the day in the summers and just be active all day, like swimming and sailing, being with my friends. And that was all because of my health. But like now I have a lot of issues because I have all these medicines. Like, really, just your mental health and your physical health are the most important things, and that you should pride yourself on taking care of yourself. What goes into your body is super important, and just think about what is going in. Like, that chemical from that factory that you, like, some random person, do you trust that random person in a factory that is not going to be using this? Do you think they care if you're going to be screwed for your entire, like, for your life? And if you ask any professional, they're going to say, no, it's not good for you to be putting that in your body. And I just, you have to think about what's going in your body. Just like, look at the thing that you're putting in your body and think about, do you want this going in your body? And maybe that'll help people visualize it. I don't know. That's kind of how I'm thinking would help me if I was in that situation.
We really appreciate you taking the time to share your story. Like Nick said, you know, it's got to be stressful to share this over and over. And we're just sorry that you had this experience, and really think that you sharing this will help prevent other teenagers, hopefully, from picking this up.
It's kind of like, I'm hoping, like, when I talk about this stuff, it just gives people like a reality check. Like, because like I never thought about this type of thing. Like, I was super healthy, so I was just like, I'm healthy. I don't have to worry about like that stuff. Like most kids don't. Like, I'm trying to take, hopefully, people that were in my mindset, like, just not even understanding the depth of it at all. Like, I was so young, I just didn't understand the depth of it and what it could do. Obviously, you hear parents, but you just be like, I'll have to throw that to the sides, like, in one ear out the other. So hopefully, like, another kid talking to them, like, it can happen to anyone, like literally anyone. Because I was the healthiest kid, so